Every good book contains a world farther than the surface of its pages. The characters and their world come alive through the words on the pages. Yet, the characters and its world still live on. One does not tell a story when one should, but when one can. The world was so recent that many things lack a name, and to mention them requires pointing a finger. How much of life it had cost to find the shared solitude. In a state of lucid hallucinations, each not only saw the images of their own dreams, but also the images dreamt by others.
Good day everyone, I am Malik D. Khalid, and today we are going to go deeper about the book of Gabriel Garcia Marquez, 100 Years of Solitude. This statement or line from Gabriel Garcia Marquez book 100 Years of Solitude caught my attention. This conveys that the past cannot be changed, memories are fleeting, and that even the strongest love eventually comes to an end. It highlights the transient nature of life and the inevitably of things changing over time. In today's lesson, we are able to know the elements of the text. Number 2 is to know the message of the novel. Number 3 is contribution of the novel to the society. And number 4 is the closing remarks. Elements of the text from 100 Years of Solitude. For us to understand the connection or relationship of characters in the story, here is a sample family tree from the wikimedia.org. This is just a reference for us to understand the connection or the relationship of each family members from generation to generation. Each characters from the story play significant role, but I am going to present those characters that plays on significant events in the story or in the summary given in our module. The main characters in the first generation includes Jose Arcadio Buendia, the patriarch of the Buendia clan. He founded the Macondo next to the river. He is impulsive, inquisitive, solitary, alienating himself from other men in his obsessive investigation into mysterious matter. Jose Arcadio Buendia are curious or have the desire to investigate scientific concept or matters. These characteristics of Jose Arcadio Buendia are inherited by his sons and daughter. Next is Ursula Iguaran. Ursula Iguaran is the wife of Jose Arcadio Buendia. She is the tenacious matriarch of the Buendia clan. She lives with her hard-headed common sense to try to preserve the family. She is the wife of Jose Arcadio Buendia and the mother of Jose Arcadio, Colonel Aureliano Buendia, and Amaranta. Ursula Iguaran does not like the impracticality of Jose Arcadio Buendia of being curious about scientific matters. She believes that being obsessed or having a great desire on that is just impractical. The second generation are Jose Arcadio, the first son of Ursula Iguaran and Jose Arcadio Buendia, from whom he inherits his amazing strength and his impulsive drive. He is the husband of Rebecca, but he had an illegal relationship with Pilar Ternera, the mother of Arcadio. Colonel Aureliano Buendia grows up solitary and mysterious with a strange capacity of extrasensory perception, meaning he had a sixth sense ability. He had one more sense. For example, it might be a third eye, Colonel Orlando Buendia is a commander of liberal rebellion and has 17 children from different women. Next is Amaranta Buendia, the daughter of Ursula Iguaran. Her life is characterized by a fear of men. She is embittered, lonely, virgin, and dies single and unhappy at home. The third generation important character is Arcadio Buendia, the son of Jose Arcadio Buendia and Pilar Ternera. Colonel Orlando Buendia places him in charge of Macondo during the uprising, but becomes vicious dictator who is obsessed with order. He is killed when the conservatives retake the village. Arcadio has 3 children with Santa Sofia de la Piedad, which are Remedios the Beauty, Aureliano II, and Jose Arcadio II. As what I've said, Jose Arcadio is obsessed with order. That character, that behavior is inherited from his grandfather. Fourth generation important character, Jose Arcadio II. He is a leader of a workers' tribe at Banana Company that is exploiting the people of Macondo. He is also the sole survivor when the workers are massacred. The Banana Massacre is a reflection of what really happens in Colombia, where there's also a Banana Massacre in real life in the year 1928. But we're going to further go deeper with that later on. Aureliano II had a wife with Fernanda del Carpio with 3 children, Renata Remedios or Mim, Jose Arcadio, and Amaranta Ursula, the 5th generation. Aureliano II had concubine named Petra Cortez, immense, boisterous, impulsive, and hedonistic. He prioritized pleasure over life values. The 5th generation is Amaranta Ursula. Amaranta Ursula falls in love with her nephew and has sexual relationship with Aureliano Babylonia, the son of Renata Remedios. Amaranta Ursula dies in childbirth to her child named Aureliano, which is the 7th generation child born of incest. He has the tail of pig, which represents the relationship of incest. The story of Buendia family over several generations begins in a fictional and isolated town of Macondo. It explores the joys, sorrows, and struggles, including the political unrest, love affairs, family conflicts, the magical events. The novel ends with the town's destruction and the last Buendia family member who later on dies, which is Aureliano Babylonia. But Aureliano Babylonia decodes the parchment prophecy of Wandering Gypsy Melquiades, which predicted the future and fate of the family as Macondo and the Buendia family wiped out. The setting. Macondo is known as the City of Mirror because the past is reflected over and over again, and no Buendia are able to create their own history. Meaning, whatever the happenings within the town of Macondo are reflected over and over again, meaning it is repeated over and over again. Also, Macondo is a city of mirrors because whatever the happenings inside the town is a reflection of what is happening from the outside world. The exposition, the novel begins with Colonel Orlando Buendia remembering his childhood in Macondo and his father Jose Arcadio Buendia interest of desires, obsession toward invention, uncovering the mysteries of the universe, which makes Ursula Iguaran, Jose's wife, frustrated due to her husband's impracticality. Jose and Ursula have 3 children, Colonel Orlando Buendia, Jose Arcadio, and Amaranta. Rising action. Macondo Civil War headed by Colonel Orlando Buendia, the liberal general, fight for Colombian independence from conservative government. Jose Arcadio II lead workers strife against Banana Company, which led to Banana Massacre. Aureliano Buendia's military campaigns, the rise and fall of Arcadio's dictatorship, and the family struggles with love and relationship. The climax of the novel is the Macondo and the Buendia family home are in ruins, including the Oriana Babylonia's child with pig's tail death. Oriana Babylonia decodes the parchment prophecy of the Melquiades and realizes that Melquiades predicted all of the family's misfortune, troubles, and destiny. The falling action is a windstorm rises as Oriana Babylonia reading the parchment, which then kills Oriana Babylonia. The resolution: the story ends with the destruction of Macondo off the surface of the earth and the extinction of Buendia family, fulfilling the parchment prophecy from Gypsy Melquiades. So the parchment prophecy is even or can be found at the Buendia home. Melquiades had a relationship, or he is a friend of Jose Arcadio Buendia, which is the matriarch of the Buendia clan. Every time Melquiades go to Macondo, he always brings something to his friend, which makes Jose Arcadio Buendia interested about the technology or on the unfamiliar things that Melquiades bring to Macondo, especially to Jose Arcadio Buendia. Let's take a look of the theme of the novel. First is the non-linearity of time. It implies that whatever the happenings of the past is repeated from the present, which will have an effect on the future. It also implies that history repeats itself in cycles, meaning the time or the events or the mistakes made from the past are repeated. Next is time is portrayed as cyclical, repetitive, and interconnected rather than straightforward sequence of events. The other is faith and solitude. Faith, since it depicts the Buendia family being trapped in a cycle of repetitive tragic events, suggesting that the idea of predetermined destinies and the inability to escape one's fate. Next is solitude. Most of the characters are in isolation, meaning they keep themselves alone or away from other people, especially the Buendia clan. They are not really close to each other, knowing that Jose Arcadio Buendia are busy or has obsession towards mystical things or scientific matters, which also inherited from his sons and through his grandsons. And I think that makes the Buendia family lack of emotional communication and interpersonal connection. That is why they are in social isolation. They are trapped in the cycle of repetitive and tragic events, the physical isolation, emotional detachment, and existential loneliness. Next is the point of view of the novel. The point of view of the novel is third-person omniscient point of view. Third-person omniscient meaning the narrator deeply shows the characters are thinking and feeling. Thus, the narrator are representative of the author. Literary devices, symbolism. Buendia family is frequently visited by ghosts. Ghost symbolizes haunting nature of the past. Next is Macondo, the city of mirrors. Gabriel Garcia Marquez symbolizes Macondo as mirror reflecting the world surrounding it. The fortunes and fate of Macondo are reflective of happenings of the outside world and its interaction with the city. And also, Macondo is a reflection of the past mistakes happening over and over again. Yellow represents the influence of the golden age of Spain and imperialism, the exploitation and infiltration of Macondo by outside developers. Also, yellow symbolizes decay, destruction, obsession of the Buendia family and Macondo. Yellow does not only represent the golden age but represents decay, since the Macondo at first is isolated city or town. With the flow of time, the city increases, the industrialization begins. Thus, the city slowly falls into decay until it finally destroys itself. This could be a reference to the colonialization by Europe of the American continent. Kaya nga tinawag na Latin American countries yung nasa mga South America, kasi most of the countries there are colonized by European countries such as Spain and Portugal. The pig's tail symbolizes the consequence of incestuous relationship within the family. A windstorm wipes Macondo off the surface of the earth is the hyperbole that can be found in the story. Next is metaphor. In the story, the Remedios the Beauty is described as so light that she was carried away by gusts of wind, conveying her ethereal and elusive nature. Next is rain that falls on Macondo as lasting for 4 years, 11 months, and 2 days. It is impossible to have a 4 years, 11 months, and 2 days continuous rain. Kaya it conveys a long-lasting or prolonged suffering, isolation, and destructive power of natural elements. Meaning, it is a prolonged or long-lasting agony or suffering, torment that people of Macondo had experienced. Next is the genre of the novel, which is magic realism, which is considered as fiction. Magical events that can be found in the story is Remedios the Beauty, who ascends to heaven while folding laundry. Meaning, si Remedios the Beauty, hindi masyado siyang nakafocus sa story, pero nag-contribute din siya sa Buendia family, sa clan nila. Kaya, nabuhay lang siya in a short period of time lang. Next is the message of the story. The message of the story for me is we need to acknowledge our past, since it is essential for comprehending the present and making informed decisions for the future. Our past serves as a cautionary reminder of the importance of reflecting on and learning from the past to avoid perpetuating negative cycles. Sometimes, yung past natin, nasasabi natin we learn from it. However, pero in the future, we keep repeating it naman sometimes. Pero in my own experience, I keep repeating the same mistake. And that really hurts. Mahirap siyang iwasan or tanggalin. Kasi we are human. I think we are human. And acknowledging the past or being cautious about the past experiences or past mistakes is a process. It's not with just a glimpse of an eye, you've learned from the past and you'll never make the same mistake. It's a process talaga and a journey. Trivia. The Banana Massacre, the Banana Plantation is based on real event known as the Banana Massacre in 1928 at Cienega near Santa Marta, Colombia. The Chiquita Brands was an American corporation that owns the Banana Company. The reason why there's a Banana Massacre in 1928 is because of the workers' strike or the inhumane management of Chiquita Brands towards its workers. However, the government intervened, which led to Banana Massacre. It seems that the American corporation and the government of Colombia had a connection or understanding. That's why the government gained from American corporation. That is why the government or conservative government of Colombia intervened to the workers' strike, which led to Banana Massacre. Such happening in the 100 Years of Solitude is a reflection of how does government destroy evidence in real life by erasing the event from the textbooks about the massacre, which is Marquez trying to tell the real event of the massacre on his book, relating the novel to the Latin American and Colombian history. Most of the Latin American countries, especially the Colombia, experience cycles of political unrest and military dictatorships that have shaped Latin American and Colombian history. The Buendia family experiences with political instability, revolutionary movements, and the rise and fall of many presidents are presented in the book. These events reflect the Colombia's checkered political history marked by periods of authoritarian rule and stability. Next is foreign companies exploiting local resources of Colombia and other Latin American countries. The rise and fall of the Macondo banana industry serve as the metaphor for the history of economic exploitation in Colombia and the other Latin American countries. The story shows the reality of foreign companies exploiting the local resources for their own profit, leading on economic dependence, social injustice, and exploitation of workers. This is consistent with the history of Colombia, where the United Fruit Company, now Chiquita Brands International, exercised enormous economic power and control. Thereby, Marquez trying to tell the tale of his home country of Colombia and the mindset of its leaders, maybe as a warning to not again repeat the old mistakes, as in the book, history tends to repeat itself. We just need to learn from it. Contribution of the novel to the society. The book is about accountability. The characters are constantly haunted by their past decision. The book taught us how to be accountable in our decision, knowing that our decisions and choices contributes to who we are in the present and give us information on who we are going to be in the future. Next is make everyone realize to break the pattern and the repetition of wrong choice and decisions. The novel gives us an insight to think of breaking the pattern or breaking the cycle of the repetitive wrong choices and decisions. The next contribution of the novel to the society is that the novel offers a critical reflection on social and political issues. Thus, the novel urges readers to critically examine power structures and the impact of historical events on society. The novel also encourages readers or society to reflect on the legacies of the past and the challenges of the present. Before we end, let's merge or summarize our understanding, our insights after reading the novel or after reading the summary of the novel. So, 100 Years of Solitude can be interpreted as allegory of Colombian history, with the book's 100 years representing the past of the country. Marquez uses the town Macondo to describe in a way the world of Colombia and Latin America as a whole. With a slow but steady influx of westernization and capitalism, Macondo, and by extension of Latin America, begins to lose some of its cultural heritage. It is overtaken with greed and gluttony, as evidenced by the antecedents of the banana company. Although Marquez initially gives the impression of a civilization on the rise of Macondo, a town that is expanding and has new technology and opportunities, the town quickly reverses direction and begins to decay due to repeated civil war, destruction, and a lack of local creativity. The narrative therefore implies that civilization's advancement is a fruitless delusion. Ending my reporting, an artisan without memories whose only dream was to die of fatigue in the oblivion and misery of his little goldfishes. From Gabriel Garcia Marquez, 100 Years of Solitude. For me, this quote conveys theme of solitude, the cyclical nature of existence, and search for a meaning in the ordinary aspects of life. It reflects the complex and introspective style often found in Gabriel Garcia's writing. Moreover, this quote describes an artisan, a skilled craftsman who lacks memories and has a singular dream to exhaust himself through hard work and eventually die in obscurity and poverty. all while caring for his small goldfish. Though this statement or quote or line from the story 100 from the novel 100 Years of Solitude does not meet the theme of the novel, I think that this statement will give us much lesson from Gabriel Garcia Marquez. Okay, that would end our report today. Thank you.